I'm hoping that's the case. We're going to take a look at dividing decimal numbers by 10 or by 100, okay? And we're doing that in our heads. So we're not sitting out here and saying, well, let's draw a division box around this. Let's not do the division sign or anything like that. It's really similar to what we had already done mentally when we multiplied by 10. If I took a number like 3 and said, I'm going to multiply it by 10, what's happening? Sam? I'm adding a 0. So I'm just taking the same base of 3, but then I'm adding a 0 to the end of it. Okay, what if I took 3 and I multiplied by 100? Yeah, I've got 2 zeros here, so I take my same base of 3 and add 2 zeros. Now what we didn't see there, that might be kind of helpful for when we think about division, is we didn't really talk about there being a decimal, right? Because in 3 we didn't have a decimal because we don't need one, but technically there is a decimal right here. It's 3.0, right? 3.0. So when we multiplied by 10, we took that decimal and we moved it over one spot. When we multiplied by 100, we took that decimal and we moved it over 2 spots, right? Because we added some zeros there. We're doing the same thing today when we're talking about dividing by 10 and dividing by 100, except for we're moving the decimal the other way to make the number smaller. Okay, so for example, if I take 12.5, 12.50 if you want to call it that, if I had taken this number, forget about the division box and the 10, but if I multiplied by 10, wouldn't I just move the decimal over this way and I'd have a bigger number of 150? So we're doing the exact opposite. When we divide by 10, we're taking that decimal and we're just moving it this way to make it a smaller number because we're cutting it up into 10 little pieces. So altogether I get 0, I don't need the 0, I guess, sorry. I get 1.250. Okay, so 12.50 turns into 1.250. If I took that same 12.5 and I multiplied it by 100, I'd be making a large number over here and putting the decimal there. But I'm not multiplying, I'm dividing. So my decimal goes the other way to make it a very small number. I'm going to move it over 2 places because I've got 2 zeros here. So altogether I've got 0.125. I want the zeros I can have there. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So, and you notice I didn't have to do the division algorithm. I could have. How many 10s goes into 12? Well, we've got one of them that goes into 12, bring it down, subtract the 2. We could do that and we get the same number there. We don't need to. We can do this stuff mentally. All right, so let's talk about these. 2.5. If I took 2.5 and multiplied it by 10, I would have 25. But I'm not multiplying by 10, I'm dividing by 10. So what do I end up with here? Yeah, 0.25. By the way, we usually do, if we're starting with a decimal then a constant there, we usually do want to have a 0 up front to show we have 0 whole things before the decimal. How about this one? We're taking 2.5 and divide it by 100. How many place values am I moving that decimal? Everybody. And am I moving to the right or to the left? Left. Okay, so when I move it 2 places this way, I'm going to end up putting it here, and then it's like I had a 0 in there. So 0 or 0.025. And like I said before, I probably even want to add a 0 on the outside. I don't have to, but it's good to get in that habit. Make sense? All right, I'm going to give you a couple then. Write this down on your piece of paper, please. And I don't want you to write anything out unless you really feel like you have to. But just in your head, write down the answer to this. What's 87.5 divided by 10? 87.5 divided by 100. Just write out the answer to those 4, and then stand up when you're done. All right, Jenna, shout out what you got for this first one.
8.75.
I agree. Well done. Abby, what'd you get over here?
0.875.
Yeah. What did we get over here? Samuel.
I got 0 and 5
0 and 5/100ths, is that what you said? Okay, yep, which is 0.05. And then last one, David?
I got
0.005. Good, you move that 2 over. And again, I'd probably stick a 0 out front to show we have 0 whole numbers as well. All right, take a seat. Braylon, you didn't answer either of those, so now you gotta give me both of these. 25 divided by 10 is? 25 divided by 10. Now the tricky part about this is where's the decimal point to begin with? It's just a whole number. Yeah, so it's right here, really. So now if I move that decimal to divide by 10, what do I end up with? So I'm starting with 25, but I want to divide it by 10. Whenever I divide by 10 or 100, I'm just moving the decimal over, right? 10's got 1 0, so I'm only moving it 1 decimal place over. So what's my new number?
250.
You're moving the wrong way. That'd be if I multiply by 10.
Oh, it says 0.25.
Nope, that would be 2 jumps.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, I'm only moving it 1 place over, so I'm moving it to right there. 2.5. Okay. How about this one? 25 divided by 100.
0.25.
Good. That's my decimal. I'm going to move it 2 places, so it's 0.25. Put the 0 up front. All right, last thing. Stack of pennies is 1.5 centimeters high. How many pennies do you think like that's 1.5 centimeters? Take a guess. How many pennies would fit in there to stack that up? Okay. What do you think?
I think maybe like 8 or 9.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would guess. Let's see. How thick is 1 penny in centimeters? How thick is 1 penny in centimeters? A stack of pennies is 1.5 centimeters high. What's the problem with that question? What do we need to know? Brandon?
How many pennies are in the stack?
Yeah, so if we don't know that already, we can't really figure this out, right? But you see where we could change. Let's say a stack of pennies is I think it's 1 penny in centimeters. Let me tell you, so then we can do this problem. You'll see why we're adjusting this. Let's say 1 penny. This is ridiculous, but 1 penny is 0.5 centimeters, half a centimeter. That can't be right, is it? How many centimeters would that be in millimeters? How thick is 1 penny in millimeters? Yeah, this question, I goofed the question up. But couldn't I change that to millimeters? How many millimeters is that? Yeah.
5.
Why? Yeah, there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So I can take however many centimeters and multiply it by 10, which would be moving it this way, to tell me how many millimeters I've got. Or if I know how many millimeters, I could divide by 10 to show me how many centimeters. Okay? So we'll see that, and we haven't gotten into that, but we'll get into that a little bit in the next couple weeks, where we take a look at measurements and use this same thing of multiplying or dividing by 10. All right, a little practice for today. I think I had you guys jump around slightly in the homework. Just a little bit. So we're going to do 1 through 29 odds. But I also want you to do number 4, because number 4 specifically talks about some of the stuff that we were doing today. We've got a couple minutes to get started on that. Ready, set, go.